mentioned Scott Barrett and we mentioned Tupou Vaa'i. Those two All Blacks locks as a combination, how vital were they to the way that game played?
Massive. Their numbers were ridiculous. Like they were both the top two breakdown clearers, and I think that's always a stat where you can see, man, they're doing back-to-back efforts to be so far. I think Scott was around 37 and Tupou Vaa'i was 34. The next best was Ardie at 30, but then there's a big gap with the rest. So those three players in particular, man, they put in some big shifts and made crucial plays in and around the breakdown. You said the last 4 times, you know, the All Blacks had lost. The breakdown was an area that they probably got exposed. Like those three in particular, it was almost like it was their. They got together and said, right, well, we're the senior dogs and we're going to lead the way. And man, they did it. And then some.
There were so many good things that they had to do for that game. Like you touched around the line-out pressure that they're able to put on, not just Tupou but Scott as well, getting line-out steals. You talk around the harassment of the breakdown, especially those two being able to slow down ball or make it really difficult for the kicks, or just in general, just maybe that little bit of extra effort then makes me able to then gets bad ball presentation, and that quick ball isn't there. So all those little things that Jip and I we kind of touch on around the little things that go unnoticed just had big impacts in terms of what they were able to do for not just the 30 or 40 minutes, but for the duration of the game that those three guys were on, and even Simon Park as well. All the stuff that he did as well.
But I think it makes it their performance, the three senior performers, allows Parker and Wallace, who are a little bit less experienced, just to do their own, you know, focus on themselves. They don't have to overwork. They're put in positions of their individual strengths. And, yeah, they executed that. Like, Parker was 100% in the tackle area. Wallace had some massive carries, obviously gave the inside ball. But, yeah, I just think that the three of Scott, Tupou Vaa'i and Ardie allowed everyone else's night to be just about themselves. Like, I think even with Finlay, getting the service he did around the breakdown, those three contributed to all that sort of success.
Yeah. It was an interesting thing around the breakdown. I've kind of noticed it the last few weeks. It used to be that when the breakdown was kind of, the ruck was set, people didn't come in afterwards, they spread. But we're seeing, like you're saying, with the way that they're loitering and getting in the way and pushing, what's changed and what effect does it have now that people are almost coming in a little bit later and wanting to get in there?
Well, it's good because I've said it. Rusty actually talked about this post his match interview in terms of like the ball presentation and just the kind of nuisance-ness that the kind of All Blacks were able to put pressure on the Grant Williams. All it takes is a split second. Like if you're wanting that lightning quick ball and everything's really good, the breakdown is efficient, you get the ball placed well, Grant Williams can get out. And he showed actually when he had the ball and when they were able to do that, they put us under a lot of pressure in terms of the quick ball, the game line success that they did have. But just that little push here and there and a little second effort, doing it legally, just makes it really difficult. And Rusty, like I said, he touched on it, their ball presentation was really poor. So then when you've got a good defensive system like the All Blacks were able to operate at, then it's hard to attack. And you look at the kind of the balls that went to ground, a few times they weren't on the same page in their face play attack, some uncharacteristic mistakes. All those little efforts around the breakdown have a massive part in and around that. So that's probably one of the reasons why you do it, because if you want to give the likes of Grant Williams and Kobus Reiner, who did score that try in the hard defence, it just makes it a little bit harder if you can put a little bit of pressure around that.
The word legally is an interesting one. We've had an email through from Wim Verbeek from South Africa, and he says, when is it okay to clean out the halfback at the back of a ruck? In the All Blacks versus Springboks game, the ref penalised the Springboks player for cleaning out the All Blacks halfback at the back of the ruck, even though the players in the ruck were all off their feet and the halfback unprotected. Near the end of the game, the same thing happened when the Springboks halfback was cleaned out, standing alone at the ruck, when the ruck seemed to be over, but the ref said, play on. Can you please explain the law? We'll go to our resident halfback. You know, what is legal and what isn't legal about your ability to touch a halfback when a ruck is done?
This law frustrates me. Purely because you'll get penalised if you touch a halfback on a counter ruck. But if it's someone else is playing halfback, they don't get it. So it's just not ruled the same. Like you have to have a number 9 on your back.
I agree.
Basically, to get a penalty. Once the ball's lifted and I think it's a metre, then they're allowed to be touched. But I think it is designed to just get the ball out and keep the tempo up of the game. Like, I get the concept of the rule, but it's just, it's a frustrating rule that isn't, I don't believe, ref consistently.
Yeah, if you're the halfback on the attacking side, you're just going to milk it, because if you are right, the number 9 just has a different set of rules, whether it's a hooker or someone else that's in that position. The 9, I guess more so, is at a different standard of being able to be protected. But I think the only way you can really do it is being able to go for the ball. So as soon as you try and touch a halfback, even if it's really soft, 9s that we know that you just milk that and you get away a penalty from that. If you're directly going for the ball and you're asking the ref why you're doing it, no doubt you'll get prepped in and around there, whatever the ref is saying, like communicating on the run, saying, is the ball out? That's the first probably thing you want to do, and then going for your 2 hands with the ball to then pick it up. If you go anywhere around pushing or trying to counter-ruck or anything like that, you are going to get penalised. So the preparation and the education, understanding the ref, and just more so that kind of rule with what Jip's touched on, you know what the rules are. So under pressure, under fatigue, of course, you're going to make a bad decision, but going for the ball is the most important part when being able to go for the halfback.
The safest option, especially when fine margins and discipline plays a big part in deciding test matches at that level. It's just best to probably steer clear.
Or ask. You just have, you have to ask the question, maybe pose the question.
Yeah, and because we're picking on the halfbacks, we've got another question through from Dave Burnham. And he says, I thought part of the move to speed up the game was to get rid of the caterpillar rucks. I can't remember a halfback being penalised for more than 5 seconds after it's been called use it. I think we saw that on the weekend too.
Yeah.
Like late entries into the caterpillar. I thought at the start of the year we were told that that was not going to be a thing.
Oh, and it's always like, I feel for the refs because there's so many, I suppose, focus areas. And at the start of the year, that, you know, they were, like, especially in Super Rugby, it's use it, use it, use it. But as the rugby season goes on, the specific focus areas sort of get forgotten about and bad sort of habits of the game creep back in. But it's another one. I don't know, the emailers has got 2 of my most frustrating rules, because I just think, when you're seeing a caterpillar rug that long and you're just waiting for the kick, I don't know. I know it's part of the game and it's a strength, but it's not entertaining.
Yeah, but I think, like, if we look at probably before this rule was kind of brought in, it did take so long. Like, it could sometimes be 20, 30 seconds. So, like, it has got a lot quicker, and some players are trying to even count it down to be able to try and give the ref a little bit of help in and around that. But I think the biggest thing that I'm finding at the moment is there should be a rule in around as soon as your hands, unless you're digging the ball out, of course, understand to get the ball out. As soon as you start putting your hand on it, that's a great cue for, okay, cool, you've lost your opportunity, you haven't used your foot, make it all play on it, and then you can go for the ball. That's probably the only thing that I'm seeing at the moment, which I think could change, and we need to be better around that.
Matt Carley actually suggested, I think it was to Finlay Christie, in the game, roll it back with your hand. Like, he actually said it to him.
He said that because of the ball. I actually remember that example. Like, it was actually just stuck like there for 10 seconds, and I actually could hear the crowd actually booing around what was happening. But yeah, that's, you know, I can completely understand if there's someone that's on the ball, there's been a bad ball presentation, someone stuck on the ruck using your hand to get the ball out initially, but then from there, based on how good your caterpillar's set, get your foot to be able to go it back. So that's probably only one thing that I think needs to change. Yeah. As soon as you touch your hands on it, it's all go, and then you can make it a little bit better around that space.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I think once your mitts touched it, I know you've got to wait till they lift, but I think it's fair, they should be fair game.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to rip in. Yeah. It annoys me when I know it's legal with the hand, but it's kind of ridiculous.
Well, actually, it's a different rule to the back of the scrum. At the back of the scrum, the moment you touch it, suddenly it's on, right?
Well, because I touched on whether I can't actually remember who the referees was at the time and around, because like it used to be ruled as soon as you put your hand on, went backwards, you were warned, and then you had to get the ball out. But now it just seems like because they think it's fast enough, where that kind of 5-second law, let's say loosely, like it takes 10 seconds really, in most instances, to get that ball back and then kick. They feel it's enough to be able to give an incentive. Okay, it's moving along fast enough. But yeah, I just think that I can see the frustration around that, because it's not 5 seconds, and people are using their hands, which technically you shouldn't be able to do.
I wouldn't mind it getting pinged, especially early on in test matches, because then you'd see it would be light a little fire.
I can tell as a halfback, as soon as you hear that, you go into anxiousness. If you don't get that ball right, then your kick execution is so hard, or if anything, you're going to pass the ball back and you give it out to someone under pressure. They've got to kick long, and you're not kicking on your terms.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Finlay Christie, you know, obviously there's been this glut of injuries, and he's stepped into the breach, and he's actually gone extremely well.
Yep.
What happens when the other guys return?
Oh, look, I think, you know, there's a reason why, you know, there were probably guys selected in front of him, more so like Cam Roigard, you know, and Cortez at our team was able to have a really good test match in that first one against the Argentinians. But look, when I saw the weather at Eden Park, I was like, man, Finlay's the perfect person for this test match, because, look, when the Blues were successful, they had a lot of kicks off 9. He did a lot of time at Tasman, and he's been in and around the All Black squad for a long time. But when I did see those conditions, like, this is a guy that will know how to play this kind of rugby. You can't underestimate his combination.
Outstanding defence.
Yeah, his combination with Boks and Barrett as well, with how much rugby they've played. And again, the competitiveness, the breakdown work he does around the breaks, his defensive communication, defensively sound as well. But his kicking game, especially in that first half, look, he had 14 kicks, and he was asked after the game, like, is that the most kicks you've done in a while? And to do that at a test match level, it's probably the most that he has done. But I thought his execution, especially in that first half, and the way that how he does play, but the kicking element was a big part when we saw the rain down at Eden Park. So yeah, he was tremendous. It was probably his best test match that I've seen, and in a pretty, not a difficult test match, but probably the biggest test match in New Zealand, probably post that 2011 World Cup at Eden Park against France. So yeah, I thought he was absolutely tremendous and absolutely stoked for him.
Yeah, it's no surprise.
Yeah.
Like, I got asked that a lot last week, and I was like, it's not an issue. Like,
yeah.
Finlay was awesome at the World Cup.
Yep.
You know, these other guys have found form and got ahead of him in this coaching group, but it was never going to be an issue. And we all have big tickets on Kyle Preston as well. So I think the halfback issue was overplayed. Finlay's a very, very qualified test player.
And game management-wise, one of the best in the country with this experience.
Yeah, and he's, if you knew him, like, man, he's got full belief in his skill set.
Yep.
And he delivered. Like, he delivered. And I still don't, people are sort of like surprised, but like even that quarter-final against Ireland, like, he was massive in that game, you know, like, so. Yeah, it was one of his best tests, but I don't think we should be surprised by it. He's been a quality player for a long time.
While we're cleaning up all of these ideas, we've got one more of these to go through. And this is from Jacob Gianti. He says, I really like the high ball strategy the All Blacks adopted in the first half. Our receivers were running back to catch it. It was working until Geordie was penalised for blocking. He rightfully told the ref that he was the catcher, but Carly said it didn't look like that. Is there any way to make the referee aware of this tactic so we can adopt it, or we always get penalised for not adequately clearing the space?
Again, I don't want to start repeating myself, but it's critical in terms of that ref management and during the week, giving them clear visual clips of what you're trying to do. So I think it was the first time, it was definitely a new tactic, so I think now they've got the evidence to say, hey, this is, you know, like, so refs will pick up on that. So I can understand why it was pinged, because it was new, and probably the perception is he was blocking rather than being the catcher, but now, I mean, it's a great strategy. It's hard, though.
Yep.
That's not an easy way to catch a rugby ball.
You'd rather going forward.
So, yeah, it comes with it. But I suppose it can only be lost backwards. And, you know, when we spoke about the clock and having people in the right areas, it does actually perfectly suit that methodology as well. So I like it. It seems a lot less risky. I know it doesn't look like it because it's a hard skill to execute, but how many times do you get knocked on or you lose because I don't actually know why. This is not fact, this is just my opinion, but it always seems like because the attacking or the kicking side are running and have a little bit more speed, momentum, it almost puts them in an advantage, because normally the defending side sort of is standing there. Whereas I like this, how it's like, okay, you don't need to catch it, but when I'm coming back, you know, they're almost in the contest with. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think it's genius. Like, it's definitely a safer, more successful option.
It seems like your body doesn't get in the way because your hands are up here, but when you're coming in the other way and your chest is a thing, and suddenly
but it's always because, but like when you're coming, like you kind of said, it's backwards. So even if you lose that initial contest and you don't win the ball, it's actually going back in a back motion to that clock roll or someone in and around that area going backwards. So like, because, you know, you could do everything right, you could be brave in there, you could win it, but technically it's a 50-50, well, maybe 60-40 if you've got that kind of speed going from the initial kicking, like a Colby getting that,
well, 80,
to be able to get up.
So to be honest.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, it was definitely an area that we kind of touched on earlier, and it's great to see some innovation in terms of how can we try and rectify and be better in that space. So
as a call, if you've got one person coming up this way and another person,
you just got to know.
You know, timing that and not getting penalised for obstruction is quite a difficult thing, isn't it?
It'd be interesting to see if it actually is like a ploy, or whether there was just a kind of, you know, it just kind of happens in the moment.
I think they'll be. It's to paint a picture. It is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's like they're now letting the refs know that so that if, I suppose, the guy that's coming forward does catch it, they can at least say, oh no, that was an overcall and we were, you know, like it does allow for that, like, because the escorting has really changed up the contestable kick game. And I think this is a creative strategy that potentially gives you the ability to escort.